Dear Leo, radiant soul of the Zodiac. Let me ask you something bold. What if today, this very last day of June, is the moment your life begins to shift forever? And what if that shift starts with a goodbye? You're not here by accident. You're not watching this because of a simple scroll. Something inside you, deep and ancient, was stirred. You felt something unexplainable drawing you to this message. And Leo, your heart always knows before your mind catches up. There is an energy moving through your life right now. You may not be able to name it, but you've felt it. The heaviness in the mornings. That sense of emotional distance in a relationship. A job that used to excite you but now feels like a cage. You've tried to hold it all together because that's what you do. You lead, you protect, you shine. But even the brightest stars need to retreat when their light is being dimmed by the wrong orbit. This is a sacred transmission, not a prediction, but a confirmation. A shocking and unexpected farewell is approaching on this final day of June, and it's going to change everything. You may not know what, or who, or how. But part of your soul does. It's been preparing for this moment longer than you realize. I want you to pause right now and reflect. Have you been clinging to something because you're afraid of what might happen if you let go? Have you ignored the red flags because letting go felt like failure? What if the very thing you're afraid to release is what's been quietly draining your power? You see, Leo, your life isn't meant to be lived in compromise. You were born to embody divine light, not to shrink yourself for others' comfort. But even you, with all your strength, sometimes forget that your crown doesn't need validation. It needs alignment. And this ending, as painful or as inconvenient as it may seem, is not a punishment. It's an invitation. It's the universe rearranging your path, not to break you, but to bring you back to truth. So if you've been feeling a shift, if something in your chest tightens every time you enter that room, speak to that person, or force that smile, you're not imagining things. The energy around you is real. And it is asking you to stop pretending. To stop postponing. To stop settling. And if this message is resonating with you, don't keep it to yourself. Go to the comments and write, "I'm ready to release." Let this be your declaration to the universe. Let others who are walking this path with you know that they are not alone. Let me also take a moment to thank you for your presence. Every like, every comment, every new subscriber to Eternal Mindfulness helps us grow this beautiful community of seekers and creators. Your energy is sacred here, and your support allows these messages to reach the hearts that need them most. And Leo, trust me when I say this, you will want to stay with me until the very end of today's video. What the universe is about to reveal isn't just important. It's life-defining. So tell me, my beautiful, loyal lions, what part of you brought you here today? And are you ready to reclaim the life that's waiting on the other side of goodbye? Because what comes next will awaken everything you thought you had to give up. There are moments in life when power is not in our hands, when what leaves us does not ask for permission, when what breaks was never meant to last. And for Leo, who so often stands in the center of their own universe, radiant and commanding, this can feel like an affront to their very nature. You are used to choosing, directing, deciding. You are the sun, bold, self-possessed, and vital. But now, in these final hours of June, something is shifting, and this time it isn't you who initiates the ending. This time, the ending chooses you. that doesn't mean you're powerless. Quite the opposite. What's happening is not a loss of control, it is the removal of illusion. Astrologically, the sun you're ruling force is forming a sharp square to Pluto, the planet of transformation and hidden truth. This cosmic geometry exposes everything that has been quietly stealing your light, people who diminish your brilliance, situations that ask you to play small, dynamics where you are loved for what you give, not for who you are. You may not have wanted this farewell, but your soul did. It orchestrated it on a level you could only feel, not yet understand. This farewell may not come with dramatic words or final acts. It might be a sudden silence, a coldness, a job opportunity that slips through your fingers, a relationship that begins to crumble without loud conflict, but with a quiet recognition, this no longer fits. And that realization, painful as it is, brings a clarity you didn't know you needed. It is like a fog lifting, or a mirror breaking. Suddenly you no longer see the distorted version of yourself you'd been trying to live up to. Energetically, this is what we call a clearing of the false crown. The ego, once firm and bright, has picked up too much weight. Expectations, compromises, the pressure to be perfecto, always inspire, always protect, always shine. These things do not make you noble. They make you tired. And the universe, in its infinite compassion, has decided to lift that weight from you. Even if it means pulling it away in a way that feels like loss. In the cards, this is mirrored by the Tower and the Sun reversed. The Tower doesn't destroy out of malice, it breaks down what is no longer aligned with your truth. And the Sun, when reversed, reminds you that your joy has been dimmed by something you've outgrown. These aren't punishments. They are gentle, if painful, invitations back to your center. From the wisdom of spiritual teachings, we are reminded, nothing truly belongs to us, not even those we love, not even the roles we're proud of. Everything is borrowed. Everything is changing. And the greatest strength is not in holding on, but in allowing things to pass when their time has come. This is the core of what it means to lead with light rather than forcito, embody power, not control. You may ask, why now? Because the last day of June marks a natural turning. Energetically, it's the closure of one karmic cycle and the preparation for the next. Just as the lion in the wild must sometimes walk away from the pride to reclaim its solitary strength, so must you, Leo, return to your essence, not to please, not to perform, but to remember who you were before the world asked you to be everything for everyone. So if something leaves your life now, let it. If someone fades away, bless them. If an opportunity slips by, thank it. What's leaving is not rejecting you. It's reflecting you. It's showing you what parts of yourself are ready to stop bending, pleasing, performing, or proving. And in that space that opens, a deeper kind of light emerges. Not the light that dazzles others. The light that heals you. Trust that. It's yours now. You've felt it more times than you can count, those quiet mornings where something in your chest felt heavier than usual, where the brightness in your eyes faded ever so slightly when you looked at someone who used to feel like home. You may have dismissed it, brushed it off as exhaustion, or chalked it up to the natural ups and downs of life. But deep down, you knew. Something has been shifting, silently and steadily, beneath the surface. And Leo, with your natural tendency to lead, to hold on, and to project strength, You've tried to manage it the best way you know how, by holding everything together, even when the seams have already started to fray. The truth is, your soul has been whispering to you. Not in loud demands, but in subtle discomfort. That tension in your shoulders. The silence after conversations that used to flow easily. The sudden urge to escape rooms that once felt full of light. These are not coincidences. They are sacred signs, urging you to look honestly at what no longer aligns with who you're becoming. But of course, facing this honestly is not simple, especially for someone like you, who has always associated leadership with stability, and visibility with identity. It's hard to admit when something has run its course, particularly when you've invested so much of your heart, your time, and your pride into keeping it alive. You were taught that letting go is weakness. That surrender means failure. But what if the opposite is true? What if clinging to what is dying is what really weakens you, while surrender is the ultimate return to strength? When you resist what your spirit already knows must end, you create friction within the flow of your life. It's like walking upstream, trying to force your crown to sit straight when it's already cracked from the weight of the wrong story. This is not about abandoning your power, it's about restoring it to its rightful place. Imagine a crown that's been passed down through generations. Over time, it gathers dust, dents, and damage. It still shines, but it no longer fits. To keep wearing it is to injure your own head. The only way forward is to take it off, polish it, reshape it, or let it go entirely and forge something new. There's a deeper law at play here. What you resist, persists. But what you observe, with acceptance, begins to dissolve. This is the nature of impermanence, not as a tragedy, but as a sacred rhythm. When you keep trying to hold on to what has already ended energetically, you delay the blessings that are already waiting in line. In the practice of energetic alignment, this is known as the cost of clinging. And in the flow of life, what is no longer meant for you must eventually be removed gently or forcefully. Even in numerology, these patterns are reflected. The energy of 9 is everywhere right now, a number of release, of endings that prepare for rebirth. It is the final breath before a new cycle begins. And closely behind it, the energy of 1 waits patiently. A seed, still unplanted. A sunrise, just beneath the horizon. But that one cannot take root while you are still watering a field that no longer bears fruit. So if you've been waking up with the weight of sadness, the heaviness of denial, the ache of pretending, it's not your imagination. It's your inner wisdom asking to be heard. You don't need to wait for a dramatic moment to give yourself permission. The signs have already come. Many times. In dreams. In glances. In your own silence. The moment is not coming. It's already here. And the question is no longer whether it's time. The real question is, will you answer it now, or will you wait for the universe to do what you already know must be done? Let this not be a story of regret, Leo. Let it be a story of sacred return, of choosing to walk away with grace before life has to pull it from your hands. That is the quiet courage of true kingship. That is the power of letting go before the fall. When you begin to examine what truly holds you back, you often realize it's not the situation itself, it's the story you've attached to it. For Leo, this story frequently revolves around pride, legacy, loyalty, and the deep desire to not be seen as someone who walks away. You give your all. You stay. You try. And yet, there comes a moment when staying becomes a form of self-abandonment, not strength. That moment is now calling to you. And the courage to reclaim your throne may lie not in staying but in knowing when it is time to leave. Strength, as the tarot reminds us, is not the absence of fear, it is the quiet power to face discomfort without needing to dominate it. And when the world appears reversed, it speaks to a cycle unfinished, a loop you're stuck in, often because you fear the story ending before you're ready to close the book. But sometimes the chapter has already ended, and what you're calling strength is actually resistance. Resistance to your own growth. Resistance to the discomfort of becoming someone new. Astrologically, this inner tension is magnified by the moon in Aries, the sign of raw instinct, self-initiation, and personal truth. This placement doesn't ask for your permission. It pushes for movement, even if that movement feels like disruption. The moon is your emotional compass, and when it aligns with Aries fire, it asks one thing above all else: are you being honest with yourself? There is a kind of quiet deception that happens when we pretend we're content, when really we're surviving in carefully decorated cages. These cages might look like long-term commitments, identities we've outgrown, friendships we don't have the heart to end, or expectations that once served us but now keep us small. And Leo, your heart is too grand, your soul too luminous to live dimmed by compromise. When you allow guilt, pride, or fear to sit on your throne, your true self becomes the one bowing, and that's the opposite of what you were born for. From deeper teachings, we know that attachment is the birthplace of suffering, not because desire is wrong, but because clinging to impermanent things steals the breath of the present moment. To be free is not to stop caring, but to stop confusing effort with identity. You are not your job, your relationship status, your success, or your image. You are the awareness underneath it all, the one who can step back, release the weight, and say, this no longer represents who I am becoming. If this feels confronting, good. That means you're touching something real. And I want to invite you into a very gentle but powerful practice. Take a few quiet moments, perhaps after this video, to write down 3 things in your life that drain your energy. Not just the obvious ones, but the subtle ones too, the ones that look good on the outside but feel heavy in your body. Then ask yourself, softly and without judgment, if I let go of this, would I feel more alive? This question alone has the power to reset your path. To walk away from something doesn't mean it wasn't valuable. It means you've honored it long enough to recognize when it's time to close the door with grace. Freedom isn't the absence of responsibility, it's the alignment with what truly matters. It's choosing truth over appearance. It's trusting that what's on the other side of fear is not a fall, but a rising. You don't need permission to choose yourself again. The only crown worth wearing is the one that fits your soul, not your past. And sometimes, stepping down from the wrong throne is the most royal move you'll ever make. There is a sacred rhythm to release. Every time you let go of something that no longer aligns with your essence, your energy recalibrates. It's not simply an emotional shift, it's vibrational. You rise in frequency, like a bell that no longer carries the dust of its silence. And Leo, what you're experiencing now isn't just an ending. It's a quiet, radiant ascent into a higher field of lighter reality where the density of your past cannot travel with you. This is why things may feel heavier right before they leave. The tension. The doubt. The friction between who you were and who you are becoming. The more tightly you grip the old, the more it resists. But when you begin to loosen your attachment, when you start to honor the intelligence of the cycle, you begin to notice something soft but profound. You're being carried not away, but upward. In the language of energy, this is what we call elevation. Like steam rising from water that's reached its boiling point, your soul is naturally lifting itself to a new space lighter, clearer, and closer to its truth. But this process often requires surrender, not force. You cannot climb into the next version of yourself by dragging the weight of expired stories behind you. They must be honored, yes, but also released. You may begin to notice it through small moments that feel unusually potent. A conversation that seems to close a chapter without warning. A dream that leaves you breathless. A silence between you and someone that no longer feels painful, only final. These are not coincidences. They are signs of energetic doors closing gently behind you while another opens with light streaming through its frame. Colors can be powerful guides in this process. Gold, especially a soft, luminous gold, represents your new alignment with power that is no longer performative, but integrated. It's not about shining for others. It's about radiating from within. And deep indigo, a hue often associated with quiet wisdom, speaks to the healing that is happening in your subconscious layers. It's the color of midnight dreams and inner clarity, the kind that can't be seen with the eyes, but felt with the soul. In the next 2 days, I invite you to pay close attention to the subtle language of life. Dreams may become more vivid. Patterns may repeat. You may hear a phrase, see a symbol, or feel a sudden knowing that carries unusual weight. These are not distractions. They are nudges, soft whispers from the deeper current of reality that wants you to walk through the next door without fear. There's an old teaching that says, when one door closes, it doesn't slam shut out of punishment, it closes gently to protect what's now behind you. To walk through the next door, you must trust not only in the path ahead but in the wisdom that brought you this far. You didn't come all this way by accident. And you won't go forward empty-handed. What leaves now does so to make space. What stays will grow roots. And what comes next will meet you at the vibration you now hold. So ask yourself gently, am I still wearing something I've outgrown? Am I still trying to fit into an energy that my soul has already stepped out of? You don't need to rip the past away. You only need to stop holding it so tightly. Let the winds of change do what they were always meant to do, carry you toward the light that has always been waiting, just beyond the door you were once too afraid to close. And if this resonates, know this truth: the light isn't just coming. It's already here. It's in you. Healing begins the moment you stop chasing the version of yourself that pleases the world and start returning to the one that brings peace to your heart. For Leo, this is not always easy. You are a sign born to lead, to inspire, to stand tall and brilliant before others. But there comes a time in every journey, especially during cycles of transformation, when the most courageous thing you can do is turn inward. To pause. To listen. And to soften into the space where your spirit breathes most freely. Your body is often the first to whisper what your mind is too busy to hear. That persistent tension in your chest, the racing pulse you chalk up to stress, the tightness that lingers even in moments of rest. These are not nuisances. They are messages. You've been carrying more than just responsibility. You've been carrying the weight of expectations that no longer reflect your truth. The heart, both literal and symbolic, is where Leo rules. It is your source of fire. And when that flame starts flickering, it's time to nourish it gently. Start with the basics: hydrate deeply, reduce what overstimulates your system, like excessive caffeine or erratic sleep, and consider supporting your heart's rhythm with minerals your body may be lacking. These small actions aren't just physical theory, acts of reverence for the vessel that holds your spirit. In your career, if you felt uninspired, trapped in routines that no longer ignite your passion, take this as a divine pause. Instead of forcing momentum, slow down and write a letter, not to your boss, not to your past, but to your future self. Describe the life you want to live. The kind of work that makes you feel expansive. Don't worry if the details feel vague. The power is in the clarity of feeling. When you write from the energy of desire instead of fear, you activate your inner compass. And that compass is more accurate than any roadmap the world tries to give you. Financially, this is a season to become brutally honest about where your energy goes. Ask yourself, am I investing in things that restore me or just distract me? You may find that time, not money, is your most precious currency. And when you give too much of it to what no longer holds meaning, it's like watering dead soil hoping flowers will bloom. Let your spending and your scheduling reflect what you actually value, not just what impresses others. And in love, Leo, you must remember this: staying in a relationship out of pride or image is not loyalty, it's self-forgetting. Your heart deserves to be held, not tolerated. You don't need to perform to be loved. True love for you is not just grand gestures. It is the quiet safety to be fully seen without fear of losing your worth. If you've been holding on out of fear that walking away will look like failure, ask yourself, what is more important, appearing successful in love or actually feeling loved? You already know the answer. As part of your daily healing, consider a simple but potent practice: morning sun meditation. Sit somewhere you can feel sunlight on your skin. Close your eyes, and imagine that golden light not just warming you, but moving through you, clearing, charging, healing. Visualize that light dissolving what no longer belongs: old beliefs, emotional residue, attachments. See yourself glowing, not because others see you, but because you remember your own light. This visualization isn't about pretending. It's about aligning your outer world with your inner radiance. Healing isn't a single moment, it's a series of small, consistent choices that bring you back to yourself. And no one can walk that return better than you, Leo. You've led others for so long. Now is the time to lead yourself gently, honestly, and without apology back to the heartbeat that started it all. Not everything that ends is a loss. Sometimes, it's a soft invitation from life itself to return not to where you've been, but to who you've always been, beneath the roles, the expectations, and the bright mask of strength you've worn so well. And Leo, this ending, this quiet, unexpected farewell is not taking anything from you. It is giving something back. It is giving you the chance to remember your worth without needing anyone else to mirror it. It is giving you space to feel what has long been buried under loyalty, pride, or performance. And most importantly, it is giving you a path back to your own heartbeat. You didn't come here to prove yourself through endurance. You didn't come here to hold on to people, titles, or dreams that no longer reflect your spirit. You came here to shine, yes, but not at the cost of your truth. So if something is slipping away now, trust that its purpose has been fulfilled. Trust that you no longer need to carry what has already completed its cycle. Trust that walking away from something that once meant everything does not make you weak, it makes you honest. And honesty is the language of transformation. You might feel a little alone in this moment. Like no one truly understands what you're releasing or how hard it is to let go. But let me tell you something gently but clearly, the deepest awakenings often happen in silence. In the quiet after the storm, when no one is watching, and your only witness is the truth in your own eyes. That's where your power is reborn. Not in applause, not in validation, but in the quiet courage to choose yourself. So ask yourself, Leo, are you willing to lose what dims you in order to remember what sets you on fire? Are you willing to disappoint others in order to stay loyal to your soul? And if so, what's the smallest step you can take today to reclaim the part of yourself you've been hiding? You've worn many crowns in this life. Some were given to you. Some you earned. Some you outgrew. But the one that matters most now is the one only you can place on your own head. The one made not of gold, but of clarity. The one that doesn't need permission to shine. Are you ready to wear that one? If you are, I invite you to write it in the comments. I'm ready to wear my crown. Not for attention. Not for show. But to anchor your commitment to step into the next version of yourself, one that doesn't seek love through struggle, but through alignment. And if this video touched a part of you that's been waiting to be seen, I want to thank you for being here. Truly. Every like, every comment, every subscription you offer to Eternal Mindfulness is more than digital support. It is a ripple of energy that keeps this space alive and sacred for you and for others who are walking their own return. You are part of a constellation now, a luminous web of souls choosing awareness over avoidance, truth over approval, and light over illusion. So stay with me. This farewell is not the final word. It is the quiet opening to a whole new chapter, one where you don't have to shrink to fit in, where you don't have to pretend to be okay to be loved, and where you don't have to keep proving that you're strong. You already are. And now, what would it look like if your strength was no longer about holding it all together but about knowing exactly when to let go?